for the win. It's good! Gosiewski takes flight as SGA plays through the contact, banks it in on the foul.
What is up? Welcome to the Uncontested podcast, coming to you live from YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Sunday night, December 26th, after the Thunder have just defeated the New Orleans Pelicans for their fourth win in 5 games. Thunder win this one. I'm searching for the score
117 to 112.
117 to 112.
Teamwork.
The Thunder come out on top of the New Orleans Pelicans. I am your host for the evening, Jacob Niffen. I've got my pal with me, Taylor Peterson.
Aaron Wiggins, hashtag NBA All-Star vote.
Very much so. We'll get into all of it. Do not worry. We are proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network, the official podcast of SI Thunder. If you are joining us tonight on the live stream, the day after Christmas, the day of Kwanzaa, at the end of the year. Yes, Boxing Day. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate all of you. Thanks for hopping on. We're going to do quite a bit tonight. We're going to talk about this Thunder versus Pelicans game. We're going to look at the past year of Thunder basketball. We're going to hand out some New Year's resolutions. So if you are in the chat tonight, make sure to drop your comments, your questions, your thoughts. We're going to read them live on the stream. If you're listening to the podcast version of this, man, we cannot thank you enough. This has been an awesome, awesome, awesome year for the Uncontested. I think Taylor and I will probably reflect a little bit on that this show as well. But we just want to thank you guys for tuning in, for downloading our show, for listening to us. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Drop a 5-star. You can do it on Spotify and on Apple now.
Spotify makes it super easy. It's cool.
Yes. DM me your 5-star rating, like a screenshot of it. I'm going to send you some Uncontested stickers. I have envelopes on top of envelopes going out tomorrow of stickers.
Awesome.
I'm going to spend
cool.
a good time in that post office line tomorrow, but I'm ready for it.
That is cool. You and everybody who's trying to return their Christmas gifts that
100%
or broke or whatever.
I am not excited for that. So
that's awesome.
So Taylor, let's jump into this New Orleans Pelicans versus Oklahoma City Thunder game. First off, the Pelicans a little shorthanded tonight. No Jonas Valanciunas as he was out in health and safety protocols.
I think they said he was out sick, but non-COVID.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, non-COVID. I apologize.
No.
Nickeil Alexander-Walker was out in protocols.
Yes.
Brandon Ingram leaves this game after playing 8 minutes and 43 seconds and putting up 0 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Leaves the game with, I believe it was Achilles soreness.
Mm-hmm.
Did not make his way back for the entire game. So the New Orleans Pelicans really underhanded. That second half played a lot of Devontae Graham, Josh Hart, Willie Hernan-Gomez, Herb Jones. They dusted Trey Murphy off. Jackson Hayes racks up about 20 minutes.
Nice debut for his future team.
I kind of we'll talk about that. Don't worry. So quite a bit of guys got burned for the New Orleans Pelicans. I tweeted on the account, Taylor, that after Brandon Ingram was ruled out for the rest of the game, that the Thunder were in a lose-lose situation. If you win this one, it was, well, of course you should win this one. The other team sucks. There's no reason why you shouldn't. And if you lose it, which is good for the long-term health of the team because you want to get as high of a draft pick as possible, the national discourse, again, turns on you because you lost to a severely underhanded Pelicans team.
Yep.
So it's a lose-lose situation all around, but there are some positives we can take away and talk about. Thunder also, first time this season with guys in health and safety protocols. Darius Baisley ruled out earlier today that he was in health and safety protocols. And early in the first quarter, I don't know if a test came back late or something like that.
That's what I'm wondering.
But Trey Mann ruled out, and he is in health and safety protocols as well. Warmed up with the team pregame. So I'm thinking the only explanation is a test result came in late.
Yep. Or I don't know how they're testing right now. If they do test right before the game, maybe it was a PCR test that came back quickly and it was positive for Trey. Regardless, it does stink. You know, we've been very fortunate as Thunder fans here over the past 2 seasons, really, for the Thunder not to really be affected that much by COVID protocols. So it will be interesting kind of to monitor that. And hopefully it won't spread much. But this is a really good point. I think Nick was one of the first ones, our own Nick Crane, one of the first ones mentioned this on Twitter. Due to the new protocols in place by the NBA, if a team has at least 2 players that have to go into protocol, they're required to sign somebody to a hardship exception. Typically a 10-day is what we've been seeing. So it'll be interesting to see. I highly expect the Thunder to bring up somebody from the G League.
They're going to pull up someone from the Blue. I would guarantee it.
Yeah. Me too. So it'll be interesting.
I mean,
Jalen Horde.
It's interesting that they're required to, because they could just like activate Vic Krejci.
Oh, that's a good point.
That would be a possibility.
That's probably it.
But they're going to bring like a Rob Edwards or somebody up. Now, if I was in charge of the team, it'd be the return of Dion Waiters, and there's no question.
That's a really good one. I mentioned Perry Jones.
Dion would be back.
Dion's the best one.
Dust off Nick Collison, pull him back out there.
Bring in good old Kendrick Perkins.
Call Perk up, see if he wants to come back. Go find,
have him pronounce Alexei Pokushevsky's name in the locker room.
Oh man, could you imagine a Shea Perk pick and roll?
Oh my!
I don't want to.
We just be sitting at the 3-point line waiting minutes for Perk to roll.
So let's jump into this game a little bit, Taylor. I think the story of the night would have to be Aaron Wiggins getting the start and putting up a career high, a very efficient career high. Aaron played 32 minutes, 24 points on 8 of 10 shooting, 8 free throw attempts, 6 rebounds, and an assist, and just played really solid all the way across the board.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. Aaron had a great night, which was really exciting to see from him, especially in a game where I think he obviously had more opportunity. And like you mentioned, against a short-handed Pelicans team who, I think there's more opportunity for Aaron to kind of show what he's capable of. The biggest thing for me is a lot of the things that Aaron Wiggins did tonight and that we've seen from him throughout the entirety of the season are things that I think will translate even when he does come up on a scouting report.
Yeah,
he doesn't have this much opportunity.
They're able to be replicated for sure.
Right. Against higher, more competitive opponents. And so I am curious to see, is Wiggins the next in line, the next Lou Dort, right, to get that 2-way contract converted come the end of the season.
He played really well. Before we move on with Aaron, Thunder Communications, Thunder PR just tweeted out that Aaron Wiggins scored 24 points on 8 of 10 shooting tonight, which is the second most points scored by a 2021 second-round draft pick. The most points scored by a second-round draft pick. Do you know who?
Oh, who?
Projected lottery pick that plummeted?
Grimes for the New York Knicks?
Nope.
Did BJ Boston drop all the way down there?
Yep. Brandon Boston.
Boom.
What is the guy that had the most points as a second round pick? But yeah, Aaron, one of the things that I tweeted tonight about him, Taylor, like the 2 of 4 from 3 is awesome.
Yep.
He's a really good cutter. He's really good at watching the play develop and then realizing when his defender turns his head and cutting. And that is music to Josh Giddey's ears. I think Josh Giddey, Giddey had 10 assists tonight. I think 3 or 4 of them were to Aaron Wiggins on cuts.
Exactly.
Just waiting for the defense to turn. Aaron cuts on the backside, catches a pass in the paint, and goes up and finishes. And he's a pretty good finisher at the rim.
I want to say like 2 or 3 of those as well were Wiggins cutting from the same spot, which was down the middle of the lane, which is unique, right? Like usually when we talk about cutters, obviously the ultimate Thunder cutter, right? Yeah, I think of Robertson, right? And he always cut baseline, which makes a ton of sense. I mean, that's typically what you see. So it is kind of interesting to see Wiggins cutting baseline. I think that's a great point you brought up. His instincts. He's very high IQ basketball player, very mature. Obviously, he is a little older. In fact, this was 2 things. One, another stat that I'm not sure. I think Nick Gallo tweeted this out. I'm not sure if it came from the official Thunder account. But Wiggins is the only player to have 20-plus points, the only rookie to have 20-plus points for the Thunder this season. Oh, and the other thing that I found interesting is he mentioned, Gallo mentioned on the broadcast, he didn't actually tweet this out, but he mentioned that, that the rookies sang to Poku for his birthday today, which is a Thunder tradition. And funny enough, when Gallo was thinking about that, he realized that 3 of the 4 rookies are older than Poku is. Obviously, Wiggins being one
the
of
only
those.
one being Josh Giddey.
Yeah, right. So I Giddy's sorry, Wiggins is obviously a little older, but man, I really really like him, Jacob. And I thought he fit in really well with this lineup. I think he plays well with these guys, and I loved how assertive he was just from the very beginning. I think he kind of realized the opportunity was there tonight. He took full advantage of it, like you mentioned, and it's crazy. 24 points on only 10 shot attempts.
Yeah,
I mean that's
very efficient.
That's impressive.
He also plays a lot bigger than he is.
Yeah, I like that. That's
he doesn't mind
too.
mixing it up with the big guys down low. He's pretty physical. Very interesting prospect. It's hard for me to say, oh, is he the next second round diamond in the rough that Sam Presti's found? Obviously, Dort was undrafted, but kind of along the same lines.
Yep.
Just because you get very, very few of those guys in the league, But even if he can just develop into some sort of a top 10 rotational piece, you've definitely found something at pick number 55. So very encouraging by Aaron Wiggins. We've seen encouraging stuff from him all season. I don't want to be a pessimist, but I would encourage Thunder fans to pump the brakes just a little bit. I mean, we've seen this story in OKC 100 times, right? A guy has a really good breakout game and we think, oh, Presti's done it again. And then once the guy gets more playing time and gets on a scouting report and other teams kind of know what that guy's about, they kind of fall off a bridge. And
Right.
so Moses Brown is a prime example of that, but be encouraged, but don't overstate what Aaron Wiggins has done. But hopefully he continues to progress. That's the hope. That's the goal.
I agree. And like I said, I think there are the fact that he only took 10 shot attempts and still had 24 points. Some of the things you mentioned, like the cutting, obviously his passing continues to kind of stick out to me as well. Like I think about that play there in the fourth quarter when the Thunder are trying to avoid a foul from the Pelicans. Giddey throws a cross or not really a cross court pass, but to the other side of the court to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's still behind half court. Shai passes it to a Wiggins down the floor, who's on the other wing. Wiggins basically catches it, knows that he has Dort coming, flashing down the lane in transition, and somehow is able to basically just kind of a tap and go kind of play right here. He semi catches the pass from Shai, turns midair, knows where Lou's going to be as he's cutting. Lou gets the slam, which essentially was kind of the exclamation point on the game. There's just some plays like that Wiggins really impressed me, and I do think there's some of that will translate.
Yeah, for sure.
And
hopefully he can continue to grow and do
but
better.
I don't know. To your point, he's not going to be a 20-point per guy or per game guy.
Rod in the chat says props to Presti. He started 2 second rounders and an undrafted player tonight.
It's a good point.
2 second rounders, second round rookies, a first round pick rookie, a third year undrafted guy, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander were your starters tonight. And they won a basketball game. Now, some of that is on the Pelicans as well. I thought the Pelicans were just awful, especially in that first half, Taylor. I thought New Orleans was just no effort, gave up after the first action offensively for the Thunder. I thought the second half they came out, especially Josh Hart. Hart went scorched earth in that third quarter. Rod also says, often been overexcited by Skittles guys in the past. Wiggins is more broccoli.
It's a really good way to put it. Really,
I love it. Very good. Yes. Next guy I think we got to talk about tonight, Taylor. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 31 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, a steal, 3 blocks, only 1 turnover, 55% from the field, only 20% from 3, and only 61% from the free throw line. He was 8 of 13 from 3. Or from free throw line, 1 of 5 from 3. 8 of 13 from the free throw line, 1 of 5 from 3, and he still goes for 31 points and shoots over 50% from the floor.
Yeah, it's really incredible seeing what Shai's done, not just tonight, but I think there's a reason that the Thunder has been so competitive and played at such a high level over the past 5 games, right? Obviously, tonight's their 4th win in 5 games. I think you mentioned that. The other 4 prior to tonight were 3 very competitive wins where they played against really good teams. And then the one loss, obviously, against the Suns, one of the best teams in the league, who they were extremely competitive against. And it's no coincidence, I don't think, that each game the Thunder were led by SGA, who's playing really, really good basketball right now. Obviously, and I think this is more of a positive than a negative. but the fact that Shea could be more efficient
And could be
is
hitting those
expanding.
threes.
Yeah, right, exactly. And he's been pretty good from the free throw line outside of tonight, but like he could have made more than 8 of 13 from from the free throw line. The fact that he's getting to the free throw line, 13 attempts, so whatever, divide that by how many fouls. But regardless, I've been really impressed with Shea, the way he's expanding his game. He's looking to score and be aggressive and kind of take the lead. It's exciting. It's really exciting stuff. And obviously, flirting with triple doubles during this stretch tonight. 5 assists, 4 rebounds, not quite as close, but he's still getting others involved and getting others their opportunity. I think that's really special.
Few things about Shea that I want to say. Number one, I thought his defense, especially first half defense tonight, very, very engaged.
Much better.
Yes, which is what I desperately want to see from him. The blocks, the steals, getting dirty, getting physical. You love to see that stuff.
Yep.
The fourth quarter switch hand layup, right to left.
Gosh,
that's borderline erotic.
Pull that up.
That's you can't pull that up. It blurred out on the internet. You got to upload that to an 18 plus
to a special site.
Incredible. His ability to get downhill. In that second half, he hunted the switch on the Jackson Hayes every single possession. He wanted to isolate Jackson and just go at him every time, and it worked. Over the past 5, Taylor, including tonight, the Thunder are 4-1. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is averaging 26 points, 5.6 rebounds, 6.8 assists, only 2 turnovers, a steal, and a block, shooting 47.5% from the field and only 18% from 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is
7 free throw attempts a game. Yeah.
If the only one that's like shockingly bad is that 3-point percentage, right? 18% from 3. And that just goes to what we were just talking about. The fact that he's still able to contribute at this level, obviously from a scoring standpoint, but even just getting others involved. That's big time.
On a scale of 1 to 10, let's not do a 1 to 10 scale. Your favorite Thunder player is Lou Dort, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Russell Westbrook?
Yes, Russ, but I don't know.
Who's your least favorite Thunder player of all time?
My least favorite? Oh, boy.
Is it Robert Swift? Is it Hashim Thabit?
No.
Is it Darius Beasley?
Who got regular minutes, yeah, but is like super frustrating.
Derek Fisher?
Oh, boy.
Kendrick Perkins?
Kendrick, not quite. Oh, man, this is really tough. I might have to
Here's
think
just one
about
player
this
that just really pissed you off.
Robertson pissed me off quite a bit.
Okay, so let's go Robertson.
Stand for him. But yeah,
we'll
go with Robertson.
From a scale of Andre Robertson to Lou Dort.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you can find anybody in the middle. 038 Lev says Carmelo Anthony. That's probably the answer. Okay. You want to go with that?
We'll go
on a scale of OKC Carmelo Anthony being the worst, Lou Dort being the best, and you can pick anything to be in the middle. How worried are you about Shai's 3-point shooting?
Oh, that not very worried at all. So let's say not quite a Lou Dort on the scale, but maybe like a
Josh Giddey.
Yeah, but it's so early. I was trying to think of somebody like back
a Dion Waiters.
Yeah, Dion. I was even thinking like maybe like a Sabonis is a bad example too because he was a rookie.
Serge Ibaka,
Oladipo.
Oladipo. Okay,
he didn't play very well in that season with OKC, right? But like I know if he would have stayed around, I think he would have been really good for this team.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a bad example as well. I'll put it this way: I think if 1 is worried, 10 not worried. That's kind of the direction we're going. With obviously Lou Dort being at the top of that scale, I'd assume 10 is not worried. I'd say like I'm a 7 on the not worried scale.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair.
It's
there's a little bit of it's been going on for a while now, but
right.
I'm not worried.
Right, and it's also the kind of threes that he's taking. For example, he had a pure step back, and what I mean by pure is the fact that he literally just did a step back,
went
move,
backwards,
no
not sideways.
Between, no sidestep, no combination of both. Right, and he drills it. He hasn't had a lot of catch and shoot 3-point shot opportunities, although
he's taking some difficult shots, very difficult shots.
Right. So, I'd put it like a 7 for that reason right there. I think when he has others around him, a lot of this is just due to experimentation for him as well, right, during the season.
I was thinking about this during this game, Taylor. I think once the Thunder get their next guy, knock on wood, Jabari Smith Jr., right? Once the Thunder get their next guy and you see plays where Shea ISOs at the top, breaks down the defense, gets into the lane, kicks out to a Jabari Smith Jr. or a Josh Giddey or a Lou Dort who catches the ball and then attacks off that closeout, and Shea drove in, kicked out, and then rotates back out, almost Steph Curry-esque, and then can catch another pass and just have like a catch and shoot corner or elbow shot. I think he's going to be just fine.
That's the next evolution of his game, right? Because that is something a little concerning. There's a little Russell Westbrook there in him. He's not one to move off ball very frequently. He does sometimes.
I think tonight he did better. I think that's a point of emphasis for this coaching staff, for Shea playing alongside
also
Giddey,
a good point.
Is to
different
move off
coaching
ball.
Staff in a different era of OKC Thunder basketball. I think that's a really good point as well.
And the comparison to Westbrook, there's definitely some stuff there, especially the relentless attacking of the rim. But Shea is so willing to get off the ball, which is something we never saw with Russell Westbrook. Take tonight, for example.
Still don't see from Russell Westbrook. Sorry, Laker fans.
You mentioned that play towards the end, the exclamation point of the Dort dunk. I mean, if Russ is the guy that catches that ball in the backcourt waiting to get fouled, he's not passing it.
He's driving to the middle of the floor, and he's trying to draw the foul from 2 or 3.
But Shea immediately catches it, identifies that Aaron is up the court alone, shoots the ball up court. Aaron does the touch pass to Lou, who dunks it.
Right.
I keep going back to that Toronto game. If that's Russell Westbrook and he drives into the lane with 3 seconds left, that ball's going up. Shea drove in to draw the defense, kicked out to a wide open Mike Muscala for a 3. Right? He's very willing to get off the ball, and I think that's a huge sign of growth.
And I know we've gone long on Shea, and we can move on after this, but just one thing that I had mentioned here on the podcast maybe 3 weeks, maybe even a month ago. Time's kind of flying here at the end of the year. But I wanted to see Shea be a little more aggressive. For example, there was a couple games there during the losing streak before this last 5-game stretch where Lou Dort had more attempts than Shea. Giddey had the same amount of attempts as Shea. And I wanted to see that distributed a little more, especially with some of these guys that were sitting out. It was right around the time that Lou went out because I wanted to see Shea get more attempts. Since then, it's almost kind of been like a hard reset for Shea because he's leading the team in attempts each game since, and has looked really, really good and efficient doing so. So I can't really, hark Shea for, not passing the ball when he should, et cetera, when I've been wanting him to be more aggressive, and he has, and he's doing a good job balancing both of those things, I think.
Definitely. Couldn't agree more. All right, who do you want to talk about next? Well, let's hit a few more of these players before we move on. Okay, let's talk Giddey.
Because that was a really fun one, right? It was our friends over at Fast Break Breakfast. They were the first ones the Thunder tweeted out since, and there's quite a few people who tweeted out since, but I think Fast Break Breakfast was the first one to tweet this out. It's at 8:30 Central Time. Josh Giddey is just the second player in NBA history to have a double-double with 0 points, obviously finishing with 10 rebounds and 10 assists. He's the first player being Norm Van Leer, 1971. Obviously, I don't think either of us are going to remember Van Leer, but Josh Giddey joins him in a very interesting history or stat in the history books of the NBA.
Yeah,
crazy.
You said fun. I don't know if I described it as fun. He struggled quite a bit offensively, but some of the passes, he should have had more than 10 assists. There were a few passes that hit guys' hands that just couldn't control them. I mean, we say it every show. The dude just reads the game at a different speed and a different level than anyone else, and he's only 19 years old. It is very, very impressive. He did it again tonight. A little more limited minutes for him tonight, only 27 and a half, 28 minutes. But the stuff you see out of him is just very, very promising, and I'm not super worried about the scoring, specifically like the jump shot. I think that's going to come around for a 19-year-old.
I agree. And I think kind of to your point, friend of the podcast, Keith Smith at Keith Smith NBA, tweeted it best. And this kind of goes along the lines of the video at the Ringer Kyle Mann put together of SGA and Giddey and kind of the team that Presti's putting together. But Keith said about Josh Giddey, Josh Giddey is a weird player, but in the very best way. And I think that accurately kind of describes what you mentioned there.
038 Lev in the chat says, am I the only one that feels the SGA and Giddey duo sometimes feel sort of awkward? Both of them call for the ball a lot. I think that hits on what we're kind of talking about here as well. But I think they're learning and they're getting better at playing off of one another. And that's exactly what you want. If the feel is awkward at times, look back to the end of that Memphis game where Shea hit Giddey for a wide open layup, and then out on the out of bounds play, Giddey hit Shea for a layup to kind of close out the game. That's the kind of chemistry you're looking for there. And if they can get that, they are golden.
And I think it's been, I mentioned Lou Dort being out there for those 2 games when he tweaked his ankle. And then that first game that he was out being Lou, Daigneault matches SGA and Giddey's minutes. And I think that was pretty helpful for them. Since then, they have started to look better.
Definitely. Any other players you want to talk about? I mean, Dort, 5 of 14 tonight, 1 of 7.
Dort was fine. He's kind of he's been playing fine, but not like scoring like he was there. JRE, I think.
JRE, another very efficient night, 15 points on 9 shots, 3 of 6 from 3, 7 rebounds and assists. You like to see that.
Teo had 12 points off the bench. A lot of that coming in the first half, but he had a pretty decent game, and then like had some really bad minutes there in the second half.
Broke clocks twice a day, Taylor.
Yeah, right. It's just kind of a guy, opportunity with Trey Mann being out. Honorable mention, and then Kenrich does what Kenrich does. I say
4-7 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3 for Kenrich.
But somebody had some huge plays too. Man, I love him. Love him.
By the time the trade deadline, like that final minute comes around, of the 29 other teams in the league, how many of them call OKC inquiring about Kenrich? Is it all 29? I don't think the Warriors.
Okay, so you're saying like inquiring, and I mean,
like calling and saying like, "Hey, we're interested. What are you trying to get? What are the offers on the table? What do we have to beat?"
I'm just trying to think of like, I mean, I to your point, I think yes. 27, 28 teams would love to have Kenrich on there.
Yeah, I don't think that
maybe like
that Golden State makes the call.
Yeah, right.
I don't think Golden State makes the call.
Going to be buyers or like think it's realistic to make a trade. Like there could be teams that really want Kenrich and would love to have him.
I don't see teams like Houston or Detroit making the call.
Exactly.
But a team like the Lakers,
all playoff contenders.
Yeah, the Lakers would kill for him. Phoenix would love to have him.
Yeah, they would.
Brooklyn would love to have him. He would be a monster for the Knicks.
Knicks would be great.
Atlanta would be a great fit for him. Miami would be a great fit for him.
We said that one at the same time. Yeah, no.
I mean, Chicago. If you're a playoff fitting great in Chicago.
Chicago. Yeah, and under Billy Donovan. Did Billy get him for a season or no? I can't remember now. No, because Daigneault was there for the Steven Adams trade. Yeah, never mind.
That is correct.
But still would be great on Chicago, obviously, especially with Patrick Williams out.
Yes. Yeah, Kenrich is awesome. He's a hooper, just a flat out hooper. Love the dude. Any other thoughts on this game before we move on, Taylor? 4 of 5 for the last 5 for the Thunder. That's not good for the tank, but it is good for the soul, I guess.
It's good for these players' development.
This did vault the Thunder ahead of New Orleans in the tank standings. They both have 12 wins. New Orleans 12 and 22, Thunder 12 and 20. They are knocking on the door of Sacramento, who's 13 and 21, Portland, who's 13 and 19, and Indiana, who is 14 and 19. So they're all kind of knocking on the door there.
And obviously the Pelicans, I was watching them thinking, they're going to be a big time tank contender down the stretch for us this season. I think the only other thought I had, I wanted to mention, I'm not sure I have yet. It's just that I think I may be the most guilty of this than anyone. But I always find myself saying the Thunder play up to competition. They've played up to competition the past couple of seasons, a lot more, maybe more so this season. But then after watching tonight, I kind of realized it's not so much playing up to competition. They just play to competition.
Yeah.
They played down to competition tonight.
100%. Yeah. Pelicans are just bad.
Yeah.
I hope they get better for the Thunder's tank purposes. Speaking of the tank, let's move on from this game and kind of talk about the tank standings. Taylor, Thunder are in 5th now. It is a master logjam. I mean, Dallas at 15 and 17 is at 15th place. Wow. Lakers at 16 and 18 are at 16th place. The Thunder not very far behind teams like that. I mean, it's a massive dog pile there, kind of towards the middle. But, and we're going to spend some time on this because I think it's maybe the most important development of the Thunder season. On Christmas Day, Taylor, we got the tweet.
Christmas gift.
Yeah, from Adrian Wojnarowski that Paul George has a sprained,
think it was a partial
tear in his UCL, which is a ligament in his elbow. His elbow's been bothering him, and he will be reevaluated in around 4 weeks. Doesn't mean he'll be playing in 4 weeks. It means he'll be reevaluated. So the Clippers currently experiencing some COVID outages, including Reggie Jackson. No Kawhi Leonard, obviously, for what we believe is going to be the rest of the season. Now Paul George out until, if I had to bet, if they suck really bad over these 4 weeks and it's like there's not a whole lot of them for them to play for, they might hold him out until like All-Star break, which is around Valentine's Day. The Clippers, Taylor, have the third most difficult strength of schedule for the remainder of the season. Now that's kind of splitting hairs, and that changes as teams win and lose. But the
especially
Clippers,
with COVID.
Yeah, Clippers currently at 17-15. That's 21st in the league. I guess 9th in the league if you're not looking at the reverse standings. But they are only 2 games up on the 11th worst record in the league, the Toronto Raptors. 2.5 games up on 10, 3 games up on 9. If they take a tumble, that pick that the Thunder own, unprotected pick from the Los Angeles Clippers, could end up in a very, very advantageous spot for OKC.
Extremely. Just a little context on that PG injury. I thought Woj had an interesting follow-up tweet where he mentioned out for 4 to 6 weeks, and then I don't
was
have
it 4 to 6?
Yeah, or sorry, I'm just looking at the doc here. You were probably right. What was it? 4 weeks or 3 to 4 or whatever it was.
I think it was 3 to 4, maybe
3 to 4, and then they would reevaluate. That doesn't sound extremely promising. Mm-hmm. The other thing, I actually missed this. I didn't get to watch a ton of NBA Christmas games, but in a little DM or whatever, group DM on Twitter, and somebody mentioned that Woj said during one of the like halftime or timeout breaks or whatever where they had him live, he mentioned the possibility of PG potentially being out for the season, right? So I think this could be a little more serious. I also follow like some sports doctor on Twitter who's all in on the NBA, and he tweeted about it. Like this could be a little more serious than a 3 or 4 week injury. So there is a possibility. Obviously, this makes it sound like I'm rooting for PG to be injured, and I know that sounds terrible. I'm not necessarily saying that, but in terms of the Thunder draft pick and how critical it is, to your point, Jacob, like I think this could be a little more serious than what they're making out to be for PG. And that certainly is big for this draft pick that OKC has.
100%. Taylor, if you rewind a couple of years to that Paul George trade, and after the craziness of it settled down, and we were having rational discussions, I think all of us said, it's a lot of picks. Shea has the possibility to be a really good player. We really liked Shea at the time. We like him even more now.
Yes.
But we said, they have PG, they have Kawhi, they're going to be title contenders, but we don't know how long that duo is going to stay together. And these picks are unprotected. All it takes is one injury-plagued season, one bad season, and the Thunder could cash out. Well,
we
Taylor,
also were a little scarred from the whole PG situation, and we were thinking PG or Kawhi could ask out or whatever. But to your point, it doesn't have to be one of them asking out.
Yeah. Well, we all harped on it. We said just takes 1 year of bad luck, bad injury luck for them, for the Thunder to cash out, and you just need one good pick out of it. Knock on wood. I'm not trying to put the cart before the horse. Whatever analogy you want to use.
Not trying to do voodoo witchcraft on the Clippers.
Yeah, I don't wish that Paul George would be hurt. I would never wish injury on somebody else. But this is exactly what we talked about. And if it does play out, again, I don't even want to talk about it because I don't want to put it out in the universe and jinx it. But let's say over the course of January, which the Clippers schedule isn't that easy in January. Let's say over the course of January, the Clippers just bottom out and win 15% of their games. And Paul George's elbow still isn't right. And they say, hey, we're not going anywhere. Regardless if we win a lot of games or lose a lot of games, we're not going to get our own pick anyways. Let's let our young guys get a lot of burn, get them ready for next season and make a run for it. And that pick ends up having the 7th best odds. I mean, that you get a high tier lottery pick, and then you still have 6 more of their picks coming down the pipeline later. Like the
That's
rest of that's just
crazy.
icing on the cake,
At
you know?
100%.
And even
And
if
you
it doesn't,
think of a team like the Pelicans, right? Who we just played, who, or sorry, maybe that's a bad example. Well, yeah, the Pelicans getting the first pick for Zion when they didn't have super great odds to do so. But maybe a better example is like the Cavaliers this year. Maybe there's a situation where that Clippers pick has similar odds to that, and I need to look it up, see exactly what those odds were. But that's more opportunity to get another top 5 pick.
exactly. And let's say it doesn't, the lottery balls don't fall for that Clippers pick. Well, that is a very, very strong piece of ammo to try to move up in this draft if that's what you want to do. If that Clippers pick doesn't hit and the Thunder pick doesn't hit, and so instead you're selecting at 5 and 7, that's some pretty good ammo to go get pick number 2, pick number 3. Go get the guy you want, right?
Which is, that's exciting.
We're a long ways from this. It's only December
ways.
26th. The season doesn't end until mid-April. But this has all of the pieces of the recipe to be that ideal situation where the Thunder really max out one of those picks owed to them by somebody else. And I mentioned it in our private conversation the other day, Taylor. It has the opportunity to be franchise altering. It has the opportunity to be a Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum type pick from the Nets. And if you hit on that, I mean, that changes the trajectory entirely.
Then you start pushing some of those chips to the middle of the table if you're Presti and start to really build around these guys. I agree completely.
I kind of think so. So it's going to be absolutely fascinating. I wanted to look this up and talk about it just real quick. Sorry, this is great podcasting, me just Google searching in the middle of our show here.
It's better than me. That's just like, hey, I'm not going to look this up, but like there's a stat somewhere that's kind of like this.
Whenever people that aren't in the live stream listen to this show, they'll already know the outcome of this game, but the Clippers are currently down 14 to the Nuggets in the third quarter tonight. Let's look at the Clippers schedule leading up to the All-Star break. All right.
It's tough.
Brooklyn Nets. Let's try to count losses as well. Against the Nets, 0-1.
I'm still saying 0-1 just because we saw what happens even when you have just James Harden.
At the Celtics.
0-2, I think.
0-2 at the Raptors.
And let's go ahead and give him 1 there.
Yeah. So 1-2. Nets again. Guys will be out of protocol at that point. That's 1-3. I think easy.
Yep.
Against the Timberwolves.
That's another tough one, but they're playing really well. We could probably chalk that up to 1-4.
1-4. Suns.
Ooh, that's a 1-5.
Grizzlies.
Let's go ahead and give them that one since we gave them the
2-5.
2-5.
Hawks.
That's another one on the fence, but I'm gonna
let's give it to them. 3-5.
Okay, 3-5.
3-5. Nuggets.
No, I'm gonna chalk that up as a loss.
3-6.
Yep.
Pelicans.
Probably 4-6.
4-6. Spurs.
Oh, that's
they got whacked by the Spurs the other day. Let's go 4-7 there.
Yeah, I was gonna say I kind of think so as well. They're playing well.
Pacers is an interesting one.
That's tough. We'll give them 5 and is it 5-7 right now?
5-7.
All right.
Against the Nuggets, 5-8.
Yeah.
5-8. Against the Sixers, 5-9.
Yep.
Knicks.
That's another tough one, but I think that's 5-10.
5-10. Wizards. We'll give them the Wizards one then. 6-10.
Yep.
Magic 7-10.
Yep.
Heat 7-11.
Agreed.
Hornets 7-12.
Yeah, that's another kind of tough one like the Knicks.
Yeah, we'll give them the next Pacers one then. We'll put them at 8-12.
8-12.
We're going to the. Are we going to the break? Do you want to go to the break?
Sure. Yeah.
The break is February 17th, so I think that's maybe a little too far.
That's good.
That takes us 4 weeks out through the end of January, and we had them at 8-12.
8-12, yeah.
And 8-12 would put them at 25-37.
Ooh, they're falling down there like you mentioned.
Sorry,
the Mavericks
25-27. I'm sorry, I'm bad at math. 25-27.
You teach history; it's fine.
Yes. that I think that puts them firmly in the lottery.
Yeah. No, 100%. I agree completely. You mentioned, like I said, you mentioned the
That would
Mavericks.
drop them below
before this.
Dallas, who's currently at 15 and 17.
They'll get Luka back by that point, obviously, during that stretch, and they'll pull ahead. Yeah, no, I'm with you completely. I think they're looking at play in rather than playoffs at that point.
And we're not going to count wins and losses here, but after that in February, they have Lakers, Bucks, Grizz, Mavs, Warriors, Suns, Rockets, Lakers, Rockets, Lakers, Knicks, Warriors, Wizards, Hawks, Pistons, Cavs, Raptors, Jazz, Nuggets, Sixers, Jazz, Bulls, Bucks, Pelicans, Suns. I mean, they have a lot
There's
of
some tough ones in there,
challenging games in there.
Outside of the Rockets, and if we're being completely honest, maybe the Lakers. But
I mean, it's
tough.
There's a chance that pick ends up at like 7 or 8, and it has a 40% chance of landing in the top 4. After the lottery god screwed the Thunder last year, Taylor, if they get the response this year, I don't even want to put it in the universe. I don't even want to put it in the universe, but can you imagine them starting a lineup next year of like Shea?
This starting lineup, but Jabari Smith instead of Baisley? Oh my gosh.
And Chet Holmgren instead of Jeremiah Robinson Earl?
Yeah.
Because what if they land 2 top 4 picks?
Right.
What if they land 2 top 4 picks?
I also will say, like, of course, it would be this season for the Thunder, or sorry, this draft for the Thunder compared to either the one previously or the 2023 draft. But that's all speculative as well. Like, this draft could end up being the best. This upcoming one, 2022, could be better than 21 and 23. There's no telling. But on paper, as we look right now, it seems like 21, 23 are going to be a little better. But to your point, if you hit in that top 5, how much does it really matter?
Exactly. All right, Taylor, to end the show tonight, we got 2 more things we want to do. First off, I just wanted to do a quick year in review. This is our last group podcast, although it's not much of a group. It's just you and I. But hey, that's all right. I wanted to do a year in review, our last show before the end of the year together. I wanted to look back at the last 365 days of Thunder basketball just to see how much things have changed. So, 365 days ago, December 26th of 2020, the Oklahoma City Thunder had their first game of the 2020-21 season. Do you know who that game was against?
It was, I do. Charlotte Hornets, and SGA hits the step back. It wasn't quite a 3-pointer. Mm-hmm. 1 foot was inside the line, but he hit the game winner.
Very much so. The starting lineup that night: Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Lou Dort, George Hill, Darius Baisley, Al Horford.
Good time.
Only 2 of those starters are currently starting for the team now, 365 days later. Diallo had the most minutes off the bench that night. It is
good times.
Crazy. Over the past year, the Thunder traded George Hill, Al Horford, Hamidou Diallo. We had the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander injury after the All-Star break, Taylor. We had the tanking after the trade deadline. That last game against the Clippers, that win where
Mike
Poku
Muscala
went off.
Yeah,
Mike Muscala. The Clippers absolutely tanking to dodge. I forget who they were trying to dodge in the playoffs.
I think it was
Thunder,
Lakers, wasn't it?
I think so. The Thunder hit some very bad lottery luck. We just mentioned this on when we were talking about the lottery for this coming year. Had a 50% chance at getting 2 top 5 picks, end up with pick number 6 instead. Yeah. We dealt with all the Shea trade rumors over the summer. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
The Thunder Twitter hating Jake Fisher. Poor guy. The James Bouknight hype over the summer. The Thunder drafting Josh Giddey, and there being a collective letdown on draft night. That changed pretty quickly. The summer league adventures of Justin and Nick that you and I are very jealous of. And then now the start of a new season and how this season is developing as well. It's been a lot, Taylor.
It's been a lot.
It's been a whole lot. So I want to ask you, over the past 365 days of Thunder basketball, what's the most significant thing?
Oh boy, that's tough. It's just weird to me to think back to, like, at this point last year, we just had seen Poku and Teo play their first couple of games. SGA hitting that game winner. That feels forever ago. Feels like 2 seasons ago, and it's only been a year. Crazy. COVID's messed up our entire timeline and perception of time. Most impactful thing for the Thunder this past year. I keep coming back to it, I keep coming back to it in my head right now. It's hard to think of something more impactful than, if we're just talking impactful in general, we aren't talking about the positives. We could talk about probably the Thunder not landing a top 5 pick in this past draft.
I think that's a very fair one. I think that is incredibly
fair. Barnes or Evan Mobley, they take the, as much as I love Josh, and that's kind of how I came to this conclusion, is because I was going to mention Josh. But as much as I love Josh, I think Mobley or Scotty elevate this team to a new level. Yeah. Where Presti is ready to start to push in some of those chips and start to build around these guys with maybe some pieces that are available around the league rather than waiting.
We're still early in the process.
Right.
Josh could end up being the best player in the draft. We don't know.
Yes, right. And so that's kind of how I came to that conclusion, is I think that it was huge that they went with Josh Giddey at 6 rather than James Bouknight or something.
Or Jonathan Kuminga.
Because and I love the way you framed this. I think you mentioned it. You were talking with John Hamm on our account tonight. And you said, it's hard not to think about if the Thunder got picks 2 and 5 and they go with Mobley.
It'd be Giddey. Mobley and Josh.
Right. But to your point, I think they still would have gone with Giddey at 5 rather than Suggs. So because of that, I view that as a positive that the Thunder ended up with Giddey, because I think that was the second best case scenario if the Thunder were to fall out of the top 4.
You ready for a hottish take?
I'm ready.
I think if the Thunder got pick number 1, they would have taken Mobley.
Oh, I do too. I don't think, yeah. Well, maybe, okay, sorry. It's easy for me to say that now. I think back when we were
at the time, we would have been convinced it was
right. That would have been hot. That's fair.
Yeah. Most impactful thing past 365 days for me, I'm going to go with at 12:01, the announcement that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander signed the 5-year extension, no opt-outs, no trade clauses,
and that elevation clauses to get up.
To get him to the supermax
extension.
Yeah.
I think that's a really, really good one.
I think that's probably that solidified what you have and allows you to move forward.
Exactly.
Right.
There's solidified the plan.
There's nothing hanging overhead to be worried about. That your foundation is set, and now you can start to build the house.
Agreed.
Right.
That's a really good one.
So I think both of those probably equally as impactful to this team. I can't wait to have this discussion 365 days from now, Taylor, to see where the team is and what has changed.
Agreed.
It's
crazy to think about.
It's going to be very different, and I'm excited to watch them grow. I'm excited to see what direction the franchise takes and how they deal with the obstacles ahead.
I agree completely.
All right.
And just see how these guys continue to develop this season and
who they draft. Talk about at 365 days from now, we're going to be talking about our summer league experience.
That's right. I can't wait.
Can't
wait.
All right. Before we get out of here, we're going to give out, last week we gave out presents from Santa to Thunder players. Tonight, we're going to give some Thunder players some New Year's resolutions. So, Taylor, I will let you open it up here. You choose a player. Tell us what their New Year's resolution should be.
Ooh, so this is fun. Another fun exercise. I think I'm probably going to start here with the low-hanging fruit, right? Let's ease our way into this. And I would like a New Year resolution to be for Josh Giddey to work on that jumper. Both the mid-range, develop a mid-range, right? And also a three-point shot. Maybe just to take that step further, I think Shai obviously needs to work on that 3 as well.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see some one-on-one in practices.
There you go.
That should be a New Year's resolution.
My first New Year's resolution is for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And that resolution is take a step back. You don't have to do everything. Let the game come to you. Be more part of the offense, I guess. Cut more off ball. Buy in a little bit more on the defensive end. I feel like he does that very much to start the game. He really eases into games. Let that carry you throughout the entire game. I want to see
Some Chris Paul.
Chris Paul. Just go
okay,
through the
see, Chris
motions,
Paul.
and when the fourth quarter comes, that's your time, and you go do your shit at that point.
Yep.
That's my New
notes
Year's
throughout the game.
resolution for Shea. Don't
in your
press so
teammates.
much. Don't press so much.
I like that. That's a really good one. Really good one. Let's go with Baisley. My New Year's resolution for Baisley. We've seen some very, very high flashes. I want him to stay level-headed. I don't want him to get super excited about the highs, and I don't want to get super down on the lows. Stay level-headed and play within the game.
I like that.
To do too much.
I'm gonna steal one from my man. Call me Armorabian. My New Year's resolution for Darius Baisley: kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't do too much. Purge the drives, the spins, the step backs. Just keep it simple. Finish plays, catch and shoot, catch lobs, cut. Baisley, you're a nice kid and I love you. You're not going to make it in the league being a superstar. You're going to make it in the league being a role player. Buy into it. Be the best role player you can be.
I like it. Like it a lot. I kind of have one, and maybe this goes for both Poku and Trey Mann. But I'd like to see those guys. This is so hard during the season. You really can't do it during the season. But some way or another, I would love to see them gain some physical strength, because I think that will take each of their games to the next level, or at least allow them to begin to reach that next level.
I think that's fair. I don't really have anything for Poku and Trey. My only one for Trey would be do you
fly.
like be confident.
Yes,
be confident in yourself.
Yes, I agree.
Shoot that bitch every time you touch it. I don't care. Just be confident in yourself.
Hey, okay, that leads me to one from Mark Daigneault. And sorry, I'm skipping I'm going twice in a row. For Coach Daigneault, I'd like to see him be a little more lenient with some of these guys. For example, Poku. We didn't mention this in the game tonight, but Poku had a pretty rough stretch there in the first half, and I don't think he did touch the floor in the second half. On his birthday, nonetheless. Trey Mann gets yanked fairly early sometimes for some defensive mistakes. This is all about development. Let these guys play it through a little more.
I like that. I think that's fair.
Except Baisley. Kidding.
I think that's fair. My New Year's resolution for Lou Dort. I would just say for Lou Dort to really lean in to his aggression. I feel like he does that already, but don't change who you are, Lou, because the team around you is changing. I think Lou is an absolute culture setter for this team. My advice to him is lean in on that. Lean in on that. Be that mother effer. Be that dog. Be the guy ready to go to war every single possession. Shoot the piss out of the ball. Be that guy, Lou. Yep. You deserve it. You have proven to the league that you are a guy. Go for it. Go for it.
I love that, and I love that so much. I'm just going to add on to it and say not only, with the current iteration of your own team, but be that dude, be that mother effer, no matter who you're playing against. I want to see you locking up guys like you're playing against Paul George or Kevin Durant, or guarding a Paul George or Kevin Durant, even if it's like tonight and you're playing against you're guarding Devontae Graham or Garrett Temple. I want you locking them up on the defensive end and being able to improve. Obviously, your offensive production may drop initially. Sorry, you do have to conserve energy somewhere. I understand that, but if you're treating each game like it's an NBA Finals game, right? You're going to be able to improve and continue to grow on both sides of the ball and become just an ultimate two-way player. So I like yours a lot.
Our guy Rod says a more aggressive Dort means somebody dies.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey,
poor Devontae Graham almost lost his chin tonight.
Dort, go up there and kill a man. Set the tone.
Just full on WWE. Just.
I love it. What other New Year's resolutions do you have, Taylor?
Doing a little scrolling here. What do you think about Ty Jerome, Jacob? Do you have a New Year's resolution for him? Do you have something? Do you have? Yeah. Do you have a New Year's resolution maybe for the franchise at Sam Presti or Daigneault with him?
So I'll give you a Ty Jerome one. For Ty Jerome, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has come out and said that Ty Jerome's the best shooter in the league. That apparently Ty just lights it up in practice. My New Year's resolution for Ty is to prove it to us. if you're shooting the shit out of the ball in practice, come do it in a game, because he hasn't. The floaters are nice. The aggression is nice. I want to see this man have like a 5 of 5 from 3 type of night.
I like that.
So my New Year's resolution for Ty is take what you're doing on the practice court, put it in a game. And then my New Year's resolution for Sam Presti, not that he doesn't do this anyways, but ignore everybody else. Everybody, especially after that 73-point loss to the Memphis Grizzlies, everyone wanted to say how Sam Presti's doing this wrong. It needs to change up. It needs to cash in some chips. I love Kevin O'Connor. Kevin O'Connor was saying that on his podcast the other day, where he hyped up Giddey, that Sam Presti needs to cash in some of those chips and go get a guy like Domantas Sabonis. Sam Presti, you do your thing. You are the smartest man in the room. You have this job for a reason. You are widely considered one of the top GMs in this league for a reason, because you work at a place that is dealt inherent disadvantages, and you're still able to field. You fielded a championship caliber team for a decade. You can do it again. Don't buy into the outside pressures that you have to speed this thing up. Steady the course, both eyes on the path forward, and keep going. We all have faith in you.
I agree completely. Maybe that's a good New Year's resolution for Thunder fans is, take as much excitement as you can from games like tonight and from some of these positives that seem realistic long term. They aren't just Skittles or the broccoli, right? Mm-hmm. And also keep the long-term objective or the long-term plan in mind.
Yeah. Understand, patience is a virtue, Thunder fans. So maybe we'll end with that, Taylor, because the show's about to come to an end anyways. My New Year's resolution to Thunder fans.
Theme of the year.
Yep, theme of the year. Thunder fans, we love you. That's why we do this podcast. Taylor and I love doing this show. Taylor, this past year has been incredible for us. Yeah. The growth of the Uncontested. We have a blast doing this. You moved to Oklahoma City this year. You've gotten to see a lot more of each other. The growth of this podcast, the growth of us as individuals, the growth of the friendship of this show has been awesome over these past 365 days. So our message to the people that listen to us, I got to restart our music one more time. Our message to the people that listen to our show and that like to get on the live stream and hang out with us and come to us for Thunder advice. Just stay the course, man. Like, basketball isn't all there is to life. We're all very passionate about this. Trust in this front office, because they've proven it time and time again. They know what they're doing, and we're all just along for the ride. And whether the roller coaster's going up or we're on the exciting loop, if we're headed down, regardless, we're all just here for fun, and we're all here together. We're going to be here with you guys for the ride, regardless of where it takes us. Taylor maybe less so after the baby's born, but that's okay. Just keep riding with the Thunder, keep riding with us, and regardless of what comes around the next turn, we'll all experience it together, and we'll have a blast.
Yeah, we'll have fun with it. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, this is all going to be worth it in the long term, and I think the biggest thing that stood out to me over the past season, or the past almost half season now, even just the past year in general, as we're looking back, it's just how many fun things and how many positives there are still to take from this, and just how this Thunder team continues to have something to talk about, to be engaged in, and that's really exciting. This is our quote unquote bottom. This is our rebuild. Mm-hmm. We are very fortunate, and I just can't wait to see what the next chapter is, not only for the Thunder, like you said, for our podcast and getting to cover this team and talk with you all about it. It's an absolute blast.
And the thing about being where the Thunder is right now is everything is laid out before them. We're not living in the moment. We're not reminiscing on greatness of the past.
We're not stuck in NBA purgatory.
We're looking at the future, right? And everything that's before us is exciting. Draft picks, trades, lotteries, all that stuff. We have so much stuff to be excited for, to see what's coming around this next corner. That's going to be a blast. So,
hey, New Year's resolution for you, me, and probably Nick. We're going to dive into some, and we already have. We're doing a pretty good job about this so far, but from a podcast standpoint, we'll dive into some draft prospects and film and deep dives a little sooner this year and pump out some content. I think that'll be fun.
We will keep the content coming. You guys don't have to worry about that as we head into 2022. Thank you guys so much for all the love you've given the Uncontested in 2021. We saw monumental growth of our show. We got to do things like send 2 of our podcasters out to Vegas for Summer League. Nick's in the arena covering games for you guys. We've got, I'm not afraid or ashamed to say it, we've got the best graphics guy in all of Thunder social media, maybe all of NBA social media. Justin does an incredible job. We are committed to bringing you guys stuff. We're going to keep doing it next year. So stay with us. We appreciate you guys so much for this past year. Couldn't have done it without you. We'll be back with you guys soon as the Thunder take on their next game. I don't even know when the next game is, to be honest with you, Taylor.
It's Tuesday night, and then they have a back-to-back Wednesday night, and they play Friday on a New Year's Eve game. They go West Coast on Tuesday. I can't remember who. Wednesday night they play against Phoenix in Phoenix again, which kind of stinks. And then Friday night they're back home for New Year's Eve.
There you go. So we will have you covered for every single one of those games. Who's got the Tuesday night game?
Tuesday night game against the Kings at 9 p.m.
That is me. I am covering that game. So I'll be with you guys Tuesday night. We will see you then. Until then, and as always, you guys have a great week. And Thunder up.